Hello and welcome to The Noise in Your Head. I'm your host, Josh Timko, and today we have a very exciting and special episode. It's actually our first of many interviews that we're going to be doing here on the podcast. As you know, I've been looking for local artists on Long Island, but also, pretty much any other indie artist that would be interested in being interviewed. And I found my first one, and I could not be more happy with how it turned out. In on the studio last week, I had Casey Bolles, who I talked to for about like an hour and a half about his music career and his life growing up and Buffalo and things like that. It was honestly a very inspiring and enlightening interview to do, and Casey is just so articulate and so well-spoken. Seriously, I could not have asked for a better first interviewee to have on the podcast. So that's enough introduction from me. It's a pretty long interview. Please stick through the whole thing because towards the end, it does get very enlightening, I would say. He really did kind of open my eyes to some things that I hadn't really considered before. So without further ado, here is my interview with Casey Bolles. Yeah, you probably had to wake up early, right?
I did. So I woke up early. I ended up staying up really late because that's the thing you do when you're trying to go to sleep early is you end up staying up really late.
Yeah.
I was, all wound. I was doing homework all day yesterday, and I was all like kind of wound up from doing that, and my brain was very on.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to ease into going to sleep. So I smoked a little bit and drank a little bit, and then that turned into me wanting to stay up and enjoy that and watch
Gotcha.
shit.
Yeah.
So I was up till probably 2 just watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Nice. Yeah, when you told me whenever that was, when we were texting and you were like, yeah, I got a bunch of work to do. I didn't know what your major was at that point, so I was like, oh, I wonder what work he has to be doing. That sounds tough.
Yeah, it's a little grueling. I always every semester I'm like, oh, this is my last hard semester, and that's how it feels again this semester.
Right.
Last semester felt like it's like, oh, this is my hard semester, and now that's exactly what it feels like. I'm taking a ton of classes, and they're all intense, but I think I'm more focused than I've been in the past, and this is probably boring to people right now.
No, probably not. Well, yeah, we should probably mention that you're a math major.
Oh, yeah.
It's just regular old mathematics.
Yeah, well, there's, at my school, or kind of in general, the way math is, divided up is there's, applied math or, statistical and probability-based math, and then there's, pure math, which is more, abstract algebra and stuff like that. And so I'm studying pure math right now.
Gotcha.
It's my major. It's called pure math.
I'm not a math person, so I'm kind of bored right now.
Yeah, understood.
No, that's... Man, and so you kind of already told me in the car why you wanted to do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the making money thing's a little bit of a joke. I kind of I have a lot of, though picking a major specifically was always just I have a lot of interest. Let's pick something that I can't learn on my own.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know. The way I am about life, I don't think I'm very I don't want to say not goal-oriented, but not goal-oriented.
Okay.
I'm more in it for the journey, so
I'm
just kind of doing shit I'm interested in, and sorry I hit the mic, that probably sounded bad. I'm just doing stuff I'm interested in right now until I figure out exactly.
Yeah, is there an end goal to the math thing, some kind of job that...
No, not at all.
Because I don't even really know what happens when you major in math.
100, to be honest, neither am I.
Okay.
There's it's kind of the route you can go in is go to grad school, and then get some fancy job at Google or something. You have to learn programming, and then you can keep looking at the mic instead of you.
That's okay.
I'm getting freaked out.
It's okay.
It's a format I'm not used to.
Yeah.
What was I talking? And then you can go do that kind of stuff, or you can work in banking, all that stuff you kind of need to know programming for.
Right.
Or you can, you know, get into academia, go get a PhD, and go be a professor somewhere and do research.
Yeah. All right. I hope you don't mind me saying, you don't seem like the kind of PhD professor type.
I don't mind you saying, but I would disagree in that I think that's actually kind of more in the direction of what I want to do.
Interesting.
I don't know. I think a lot of math professors are a little out there.
Yeah.
They're not like very rigid people. I mean, some of them are. Some of the people are like super rigid and like.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a really funny thing about math professors. They're kind of more so than any other subject. You know, I was a physics major when I first went to school, and you know, I've had to take English classes and stuff.
Yeah.
Although every teacher is like a little bit of a cartoon. Like every English teacher I've ever had wants you to feel feelings really badly, and it's very carpe diem, very like phony Robin Williams. But like, what was I gonna say? But the math teachers, they're like cartoons in that they kind of like wear the same outfit every day, or they have like 3 outfits that they cycle through, and it's not that hard to pick up on like their patterns, and then maybe they're just behaving like little computer programs because that's what they are.
Interesting.
But
okay,
professors.
I hadn't looked at it that way. So then in that case, I could see you. You know.
Yeah, they're
entering that field.
They're funny. They're funny, quirky people. Yeah. Not that I know that that's what I am, but I just know that I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what I want to do. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of like spacing out right now. I'm getting a little.
Let's backtrack a little bit then. So I have you in here not to talk about math,
right? Not at all.
I'm here to talk about your music.
Let's talk about music.
So that's a pretty big part of your life, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. It's definitely.
So why don't you kind of bring me through a brief history of like where math fits in Casey Bolles' life? Like how did it enter your life?
Music or math?
Music. Did I say math?
Yeah.
I meant music. How did music enter your life? And when did you start playing? And like, how did that lead to The Fever? Right. That was.
Right. Yeah.
The Fever,
that's like
and then Freshman, and then that one EP you did of covers.
Yeah.
Manhattan was it called?
Yeah.
And now to Gardenhead. Yeah. So why don't you bring me through a little bit of that?
Okay. So let's see. Starting at the beginning, I like the first music I was like into was like I had an older sister and an older brother growing up, so I was just into like the Backstreet Boys and shit like that because that's like the CDs my sister brought home, and then like when my older sister got into probably like 5th grade or something, she started listening to like Good Charlotte and stuff.
Okay.
And then I started getting into punk music and Blink-182 and stuff. And then when I was like 10 years old, my older sister started taking guitar lessons, and I was like 9, and I would like sit in and watch. I didn't take lessons because my parents were like, "There's no way we're investing in guitar lessons for this kid that's not gonna practice or do anything with it and is totally just trying to copy his older sister."
Yeah.
So I started taking guitar lessons, but I just stuck with it. And then I don't know, I was playing guitar for a while, and I was like I was into like Green Day and stuff like that when I was younger.
Did you start just like learning their songs?
Yeah. You just learn those songs, and then when I was in middle school, I tried to start a couple bands to no avail, but spent a lot of time thinking of band names and shit like that. And then when I got into high school, I started playing shows for like a local booking agent in Buffalo called After Dark. And that's when I started kind of like getting involved in the scene and like understanding all the crazy like social stuff that goes along with that.
Yeah.
Then I was through playing shows in Buffalo, I met this band Canoe, which is now called Head North.
Oh, okay.
And I met this kid Brent from the band Canoe, and we were like best buds for a while. And he booked my first tour for me. I was I think a senior in high school or a freshman in college, and Brent booked this tour for me and this band well, for me and my friend Johnny, which I don't know if you know Water Me Down.
I know of Water Me Down.
Okay, so that's Johnny is Water Me Down, and so Johnny, Brent, and then Ben, the drummer of Head North, we all went in Head North's van, and we went on our like first tour together, and that was pretty grueling.
Yeah.
And actually before that, I had done one tour before where I graduated high school like a semester early, and I went and did merch for Head North on their first tour.
Oh wow!
And that was horrible.
Why that? Why do you say that?
Oh, it was just like, no experience, just total like, just we were all like 17 and kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
A bunch of 17-year-olds on the road is just stupid.
When you say on the road, was it like just like East Coast or? Was it?
There's always like kind of Midwest and East Coast.
Oh, okay.
And it was always, I think we were always doing like 2 weeks to a month.
And you're 17 at this point?
Yeah.
Damn.
And the Water Me Down tour, though, there was a few little moments. There was some like real shockers. There was like one where we were, I think maybe Ben was supposed to book, we had like an opportunity to play a really good show in Columbus with some like big band. We had befriended these guys, Jake and John, John Roush, who now is a talent buyer for Bravo Artist, and Jake Bielowski, or however the hell you say his last name, who's in the band Everyone Leaves. I don't know if you know that band.
Okay.
Yeah, and he runs this booking company called It's All Good Booking. And so I think they had like a really great show that we could have hopped on or something like that. And then, but instead, Ben was into this girl, and she said she could hook us up with a house show. So we went, but we were all like 17. I think I was 17, Ben was 17. I think Johnny and Brent were maybe 18 or 19. And we walk into this house, and it's just completely empty, except for there's like a kid standing on his head in the middle of this empty room, and then another kid's like shredding on like a guitar, like a Walmart guitar plugged into this like tiny little combo amp. And they're like all smoking weed, which is fine, but like 17-year-old me was like a little like, oh, this is big kid territory, okay. And then we walked into the next room, and it was the kitchen, and then there was the bathroom, but they were also the same room because the walls in the bathroom were completely knocked down. So there's just like a toilet in the middle of it. It was basically like my first punk house experience.
Yeah.
But it was like very... it was shocking. And then I went upstairs, and everybody was doing like coke, and for me being like 17, I was like very like, holy shit, I'm not ready for this. Right? And I was scared. And then the cops came, and then we all kind of it was like this very cinematic moment where like I think Johnny, Brent, Ben, and I, and then there was these two people that had come to see Johnny. They were big Water Me Down fans, so they came to see. And we were all huddled in the corner at this show, and all the lights were off, and everybody was pretending not to be there, and the cops were banging on the door. And they were like, open up. And then this one kid who was like, I think like really coked out or something, he started just like feeding back on a ukulele into this amp. And so the cops were like, okay. So they came in, and then everybody just ran.
Jesus Christ.
And
wow.
We ended up not really playing a show, and we just got pizza. But that was very scary to me. And then half the tour we spent with our headlights not working, so like at night we would have to like tailgate somebody who had really good headlights or whatever, and just follow them perfectly, because we couldn't really drive at night. Yeah. So that was my first tour.
Those are some. That's a great story, actually.
Thank you.
That's like something you don't really consider when you think of bands on the road.
Oh yeah,
shit like that
when you
happens.
first start out, there's so many crazy things that happen, especially when you first start out, because you don't have as many friends that you're like, now when I go on tour, I go to a city, I like get into the groove of that city. It's like, I know I'm going to see this group of people. I'm really excited to see this group of people. I know I'm going to go to this restaurant. I know exactly what I'm going to do. But back then it was like my first time going to most of these places, first of all. And then second of all, I didn't know that many people.
Yeah.
So it's just like you kind of wander around and get into all sorts of hijinks and shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's a lot like a cartoon.
Right.
Love when life
you liked
imitates
it,
cartoons. Yeah, yeah.
Right, I mean, you continue
so
doing
much.
it, so.
Yeah, it was the best thing I've ever done. I was like, I grew up in Grand Island, which is, you know, slightly above Buffalo, but it's just, you know, a very boring town, and I didn't, you know, have a car until I was like 16, and there's not really any public transportation to speak of, so I spent a lot of time like bored growing up, and like really like, you know, with a lot of Disney princess syndrome, wanting to like get out and see the world, you know.
Interesting.
And like tour totally satisfied that. Actually, I haven't reflected on that in a long time because it's I've been living in New York City now, which is like, when I first moved to New York was a big deal for me, and so it's like all these things that were kind of like I really wanted to do, and now I'm like doing, in the sense
That's
of like
awesome.
I'm out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, I can tour or I can live in New York City, and it's like, I don't know, I don't think about it that much. But yeah, when I was a kid, I just wanted to get out and do something interesting, and tour was definitely exciting as hell.
Oh, I'm happy you got out of there then. I'm happy. You got to live your Disney princess.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool actually. I think maybe it was yesterday or something. I was just spending some time thinking, like, you know, that I don't spend enough time in the moment, that I spend so much time trying to think about like what's next, and I don't realize like, man, I like work for a lot of things that I could really enjoy right now that I don't even get to like think about.
Yeah. No, I think I'm very much with you on that. I think I'm also very much a think way into the future kind of guy.
And I'm sure there's a lot of things you have now that like if you like could put yourself in the shoes of 12-year-old you, if you looked at yourself, you'd be like, oh, I'm so fucking cool.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, definitely.
You know, like
for sure.
Like I don't know, even being at college or something like that.
Yeah,
like
doing
weird
what
adult
I love,
shit that you think is cool,
Yeah,
or like
definitely.
that you're like operating a microphone and Pro Tools.
Yeah, the fact that I have a podcast at all.
That's very cool, right?
That's something I never really thought I would have.
You're just talking about hanging out with one of your favorite bands the other night.
McCafferty,
yeah. And
that's a story I would not have.
Yeah,
if I
exactly.
didn't come
And
to
it's
Hofstra.
like, man, picture like young you who listened to X, Y, or Z band being like, oh, just so you know, you hang out with those kinds of people when you're older.
Yeah, that's
and,
and
like, that's so cool.
Being here and kind of like being in this scene, and you know, I don't really listen to like a lot of quote unquote mainstream music, and that's not to be different, but you know, being in this scene. Ignore the man standing right there. Also, I don't know if you could see him.
Oh, I do see now.
He's
man, that dude looks like my brother from here. It's kind of weird. It's creeping me out. He looks like a combination of my friend Nate from this band Darth Nader and my brother. Oh, he still kind of looks like a combination, even not behind the glass. That's freaking me out.
Dude, you better be quiet. He's my co-host on another podcast that we do.
What's the podcast called?
It's called The Take-Up Reel.
The Take-Up Reel. What's it about?
It's about this is Evan. Evan, this is Casey.
Nice to meet you, Evan.
The Take-Up Reel is about, it's like a movie review podcast. It's basically like The Noise in Your Head, but with movies, pretty much.
Sweet.
Yeah, and we don't have awesome interviews with people.
Right.
But yeah.
Talk about movies.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I never could have imagined like having like being in the scene and meeting people like McCafferty
just
and
doing
meeting people like you. Yeah, and just like because growing up, like I've been listening to your music for I want to say like 3 or 4 years now.
Oh well, thank you very much.
Yeah, and then like so to me, I have this like image of who you are, and I have this image of like who McCafferty are.
Right.
And, all these other people that I've met, like Jake Ewald from Modern Baseball, I've met several times. And I have this image of who these people are.
Yeah.
And when I meet them, it's totally not who they are.
Oh, yeah,
They're just regular, everyday people.
Yeah.
Exactly. People who are, like, asking for gas money, things like that, you know? And it's something I don't really expect when I listen to the music.
Yeah, it's
because it's something that inspires me a lot of the time.
Dude, the one cool thing, not the one cool thing, one of the cool things is probably a better way to say that. One of the cool things about this music scene, and it's kind of, first of all, the fact that I can say this music scene, and probably anybody that's listening knows exactly what I'm talking about, is a cool thing, I think. Second of all, it's like, you know, I guess like, it's pretty, this is one of the few scenes in which if you're a listener, you can be a very like active participant participant in the scene in like so many different ways.
Yeah.
And it's like welcomed, I think, you know. And I think, like, in the punk scene, you know, people realize the value of, like, alternative media and just kind of, like, sharing resources and, you know, just trying to...
It's a community.
Cultivate, like, an arts community together.
Definitely,
in the sense that, like, we're trying to help each other out so people can hear each other's shit more.
Exactly. Yeah. These people are very approachable. They're very open to coming on to a podcast that no one's ever heard of.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, I think everybody. I don't know. People are. The one cool thing about this music scene, you can connect with the stuff you're interested in, and you are connecting on a whole nother level.
Feedback on the things that you make.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that,
And when you're participating like that, you get into it on a whole nother level, and that's why, like, kids get so into this shit. That's why their walls are covered with bands' wall flags and stuff like that. It's because it's like, no wonder you're obsessed with this. Like, you get to meet these people and hang out with them and, like, talk about interesting stuff with them. Like, it's like a totally great thing to get lost in.
It's not like a dream that's far out of reach.
Right.
It's not like, I want to meet 21 Pilots and hang out with them.
Yeah.
Or, you know, whoever. But, you know, I can't. You can't do that. It's just a dream that's far out of reach. But I can talk to Casey, and I can talk to McCafferty, and I could talk to Oso, and I could talk to all these other people.
All these bands that you listen to every day. That, like, it's cool.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back to your kind of making music. You go on this tour when you're 17. You go into a coked out, you know,
crazy
party.
House in Cincinnati. Actually, if I don't know if this is giving too much away of somebody else's thing, but if you listen to Water Me Down, there's a song called God I Found Hell that I'm pretty sure is about that place in Cincinnati, and it was a pretty wild. It was just it made an impression on all of us.
Okay, yeah.
Enough so that somebody got a really, really great song out of it.
Cool. So that tour was you had just graduated from high school, you said?
Yeah, I just graduated from high school. I'm having trouble placing it, but I'm pretty sure I just graduated from high school.
Gotcha. And where did the fever come in?
I can say forget me not, but a bouquet won't keep me in your head. You can stay away from me, but I don't have all the time you've got. Beg you, please don't pass me by. I won't be another second thought. I will say that I have tried. These words would ever get me by with you.
I put that out my senior year of high school.
Really? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And that's impressive. Actually.
Oh, thank you.
I honestly I was listening to it this morning and yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't heard it in a while, and that's an impressive record to put out.
Oh, thank you.
In high school.
Thanks.
Like I had friends who were in bands in high school, and like they weren't really putting stuff out that was as good as The Fever, I would say.
Well, I remember when I first put it out, or when I was first showing people songs on it, I was not very, like, popular in the Buffalo scene, and maybe I'm not now either, but at least I have a lot of friends in Buffalo now, and they'll come out and support me at shows. But back then it was like people would, like, boo me when I was on stage and stuff. So when I was, like, showing people those songs, everybody was like, oh yeah, it's pretty alright.
Yeah.
And so like nobody was, I don't know, never got that much support for that. And when I was first making it, and then I never really liked that much later, because you never like the stuff you make when you're young.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose. And so, was that all you doing that album, or?
Actually, it was.
Because there's a full band in that.
Yeah, that was the first time I was ever in, like, a real studio. I went to this guy Steve Sobchak in Syracuse. He was actually the coolest dude ever, and I haven't talked to him since I recorded that record. But he, like, dropped so much wisdom on me. I remember he was like, I don't know, there was, like, a lot of parallels in our lives, and I just remember. I don't know, I worked with him for like a week. I was like 16, 15 or 16, I think I was 16. And he like, kind of when you get into a studio, I mean, at least when I've been in bigger studios, usually it's like me with a producer, and it's like, I'm me working one-on-one with this guy, and we'd like make something together. So this guy's Steve, like I had an idea of what I wanted the record to sound like, and so he helped me figure out like the tones and stuff, and like what instruments to use for what things, and then he recorded the drums. And we recorded the drums first, because that's kind of what you do in general when you're recording a record. And I was so excited the night before to find out to like be in a studio for the first time, that I like had stayed up all night. I drove to Syracuse from Buffalo, which is like a 3-hour drive, and then I stayed up all night the night before, couldn't sleep at all. And so I got into the studio, and I was exhausted, and he was recording the drum parts, and I fell asleep on the couch.
Wow.
And I fell asleep for the entire day, and he recorded like all the drums, and I was like,
man,
holy shit, thanks, man. Like we had worked out the drum parts and stuff, but I just like didn't have the attention span to sit. So for like 2 hours, I had like fallen asleep, and he recorded like half the record's drums.
Yeah.
I was a sleepy little guy, but so.
And you said you didn't get a lot of support with that record?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was pretty much, that was me. I had played a ton of shows in Buffalo, saved up money from that. I was playing like restaurants and like bars and stuff, and then I was also playing shows for the Talent Buyer After Dark at clubs in Buffalo, and I saved up like a couple grand or something like that, and just bought like a week in the studio. So I just did it all myself, and then nobody really listened to it after I put it out either.
That's interesting to me, because me picturing that, like, if a friend of mine had put that out in high school, everyone would be listening to it, I think.
That's so funny. I think I was really, really, really bad socially when I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like I didn't have a lot of friends. Actually, I mentioned that the kids from Head North were like my best friends. They were like pretty much my only friends in high school, and that's like how I got so into the music scene, is like I didn't have any friends at the school I went to. These kids went to a different school, and I became friends with them through music. And so like anytime I wasn't in school, I was just always focused on the scene, because that's where my friends lived. You know?
Interesting. So to back up a little bit, so you wrote all the lyrics, I'm assuming, to Fever. Yeah. So I want to talk about your songwriting a little bit. Sure. Just from the very beginning, so we can transition later on. So like you how long had you been writing songs?
How long had I been writing songs?
Yeah, writing lyrics, at least.
So I wrote this EP called Clean Getaway, which I think I completely wiped from the internet now.
Okay.
I hope. But I put that out when I was like 14. And I was going to this little studio that was on Transit Road in Williamsville and Buffalo, and it was like this little, this guy Ryan's studio at his house. He was a nice dude, and we wrote these songs. I was really into like, I don't know, what was I into back then? I was always really into Bright Eyes, but I was also really into Never Shout Never back then.
Never Shout Never.
Yeah, because I was like, I was 14. I was in high school. I liked it was like one of the first kind of singer-songwriters I was like introduced to that wasn't like classic rock or like Bob Dylan or something like that. And so I wrote this EP when I was like 14 or 15, and that I was just like try to write as many different sounding songs as possible, just with my acoustic guitar, because I wasn't that good. I had only been playing for a few years, and I don't know, the lyrics were all kind of, I don't know, I was always just kind of like really bummed out as a kid, which I'm sure a lot of us
were. A lot of us are.
I'm sure, I'm like, it's so funny when you're younger, you live in this little bubble of,
you think you're the only
like
one.
Gloom, and then when you're older, you live in this dome of gloom.
Yeah, and you listen to all this music, and you're like, oh, they get me.
But everybody else still lives. Yeah, everybody gets it. You're like, oh, shit, we probably just should have talked way more when we were younger.
Yeah, exactly.
But, so, it was a lot about just, like, wanting to, just feeling like I didn't have much control in my life, because you don't when you're 14, and, like, wanting to do things and do interesting things, and wanting to, liking people that don't like you back and stuff like that. And just, like, very, first time kind of high school experience kind of things.
Yeah.
So I wrote that, and then I started writing the songs for the Fever when I was like a junior in high school, like a junior in high school, and then that's when I recorded it.
Gotcha.
And released it. And that was, the first time I put a record together and like figured out how to do that, and got artwork done for it and everything.
Yeah. When I first discovered your music, a lot of people were comparing you to Conor Oberst of Bright Eyes.
Oh, cool! I didn't.
I was reading that a lot, like in YouTube
awesome.
Comments and stuff.
I've
like
never
that.
seen that, but that is really cool to me because, like, obviously, I mean, who didn't fucking cry to Bright Eyes when they were in middle school?
Honestly.
And I love Bright Eyes still.
Yeah, I'm Wide Awake It's Morning is probably one of the best records. I would say probably like top 50 records of mine.
Yeah, I'd say. It's a great record. My favorite Bright Eyes record, I think, is Lifted.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you know that record?
That's a good one too. Yeah,
I like.
I'll give you that one.
Or maybe I don't know. I like them all, I guess.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to Freshman, I guess.
She has a tattoo that reminds her she is lucky to be breathing. She has these tattoos to remind her of the things she tells herself she loves. And I don't believe she feels lucky. I don't believe she loves anything. She doesn't love anything. She doesn't love anything.
That was the next project after the Fever, right?
Right. Yeah, I believe so.
So where did that? You were a freshman in college,
right? Actually, so what happened with that was I had gone on that tour with WATERMEDOWN and the Head North guys, and I was like very inspired by WATERMEDOWN, and I had like started listening to more kind of like emo music, and then I remember going to a specific show that like kind of like got me into being into like the scene, not just like DIY stuff, but like a little bit bigger, like knowing what bands are hot and stuff. Was like it was Modern Baseball, The Hotelier, Tiny Moving Parts.
Ooh.
And Cam from Sorority Noise was playing guitar for Modern Baseball.
Jesus.
And so, I mean, Cam
what a show.
is really great at guitar. Yeah. He shreds. So, like,
Jesus.
Their songs were super beefed up with, like, he was throwing in, like, crazy leads and stuff. And then, it was a fucking wild show.
What a lineup, though.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was, like, I think it was 2014. It was right after The Hotelier had put out Home Like No Place Is There. And I think it was right after Tiny Moving Parts had put out This Couch Is Long and Full of Friendship.
Yeah.
And Modern Baseball had just come out with, I think,
You're Gonna Miss It All.
Yeah, I think.
I wonder if that had actually come out at that point.
Yeah, no, I don't think it did. I think they were still on sports.
Come out.
I think they were still on sports. I can't imagine. So I remember that was the first to like. Those were like the first records I bought that weren't just like from a thrift shop. That were just like old jazz records or something. That was like the first like punk bands I bought vinyl records for. Was that at that show? Man, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, but yeah, I was talking freshman, and so I got more inspired by those kinds of things, and then I got through the first half of my freshman year.
Yeah.
And then I got on this tour, and then I think the summer after my freshman year, I recorded this. But the songs, the way a lot of those songs started was Brent from Head North was staying at my dorm in Harlem, and he was like, you're not supposed to have people for more than like a couple days, but he was like, I don't know, I made him like a fake ID for my school, but it was like really shitty. Mm-hmm. It was like a cardboard square with like paper taped on it with just a bunch of like scotch tape on it. And
don't do this at home, kids.
Yeah. Well, we know you just talked about it. You got in trouble with your ID at your school.
Criminal impersonation is no joke. It's no laughing matter.
I mean, it's hilarious.
It
And
is.
it's totally laughing matter, but also don't do
Don't do
it.
it.
Don't do it. But it's also sometimes funny.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to sneak into your friend's dorm and live there for 2 weeks because you need to get out of Buffalo. And so
I have heard nothing good about Buffalo.
No,
in
really?
my entire
Oh,
life.
no,
Everyone
no,
I
no,
talk
no.
to says
No,
that it's
Buffalo's
horrible.
amazing. Buffalo's amazing. That's just kind of the attitude you have about it. It's
Yeah.
like one of those. I mean, I think that's kind of the way people are about New York City too. It's like, fucking New York, but like they all still have that shirt that says
Yeah.
"I heart
That's
NY."
true.
They still heart it. They
They're not lying.
but they heart it.
Yeah.
No, but it's like Buffalo is just kind of like it's it's very Rust Belty, so there's kind of like that like everybody's got a little bit of nihilism, has a nihilist streak.
Yeah.
Because the sky's gray all the time and we don't get enough vitamin D, so we're all a little bit depressed.
That's it. Yep.
And in search for the meaning of life.
I didn't mean to call out Buffalo. I
No,
didn't know you'd
it's
have such a
okay.
strong
I'm
reaction.
glad you brought that. I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because that means that I might have sounded like I hate Buffalo and I fucking love Buffalo.
Okay, good.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because then I can help you change your opinion on Buffalo. I'll just say Buffalo is very cool. It's like very like I don't know. It's like a creative place. It's like very. I always say it's like very Portlandy. It's like kind of like cutesy, but it's still cheap. It's still like it's not like super. Harlem where I'm like staying now like got gentrified super bad, and now you can't afford anything there. It's like impossible to pay for anything. And like admittedly, like I am 100% part of that. I'm like a kid that came from a suburb that's like living in Harlem to go to this college now. And, I don't know. I guess just like Buffalo somehow was able to, is still trying to is still like supporting local businesses and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It's in a place where things aren't super expensive. Living there is super cheap. You can do a ton of fun stuff for not that much money. And, it's a great place to live. The only reason it sucks is that it's a little hard to get around, and it snows all the fucking time.
Yep. Okay.
For like
That's a deal breaker for me.
For like
Can't do snow.
Yeah. Well,
snow.
you live in Long Island.
I know,
bud.
but I hate snow.
Dude.
The only reason I live in Long Island is because it's close to Connecticut.
It's 'cause it's close to Connecticut.
I didn't want to go too far away for school.
Well,
I might be moving to
kinda
Atlanta
fucking hate
after
the snow.
graduation.
Atlanta?
So, yeah.
All right. You said you're a senior this year.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So
That's
we'll see.
awesome, dude. I wish I could move to Atlanta. Atlanta's sweet.
Come to Atlanta with me.
All right. Sounds
We're
good.
gonna be making movies in Atlanta.
We'll go make trap music in Atlanta.
Yeah, sure. Is that what they do in Atlanta?
That's where trap music's from, but I think maybe there's probably something else that's like hot there now.
Interesting.
I think Atlanta's like a pretty like bumping underground hip hop scene. I'm sure there's something new like brewing up that I have no idea about.
I'm sure. That's what the United States is. There's something brewing everywhere.
Yeah, that's where everywhere is. That's the world.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet. That's why I always kind of, sometimes you ever get like bummed out. It's like, oh, I'm so bored. Like there's nothing to do. It's like all there is to do is watch Netflix and like eat stuff. And like, I'm not that hungry right now. And I've already watched all the shit on Netflix. But it's like, wait, there's like a million countries I haven't been to, and there's so much shit I haven't seen.
So much shit that I don't know.
Like,
so many things I could learn.
Yeah,
I just started picking up the guitar.
Oh, really?
To learn. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was about time.
Congratulations, because it was about time. Because if you're interested in music, and you ever have any free time or ever are feeling antsy or anything, it's just
definitely
gotta have it.
Yeah. So
have you gotten to the point where you can like fuck around and it's fun, or are you still kind of learning chords?
Still learning chords. I can only play like 5 chords.
Okay.
I'm learning the basics. Like I'm learning "In the Airplane Over the Sea" by Neutral Milk Hotel. I'm learning like a couple of songs by Radiator Hospital.
Oh, the Cut Your Bangs. Are you learning that song?
I haven't learned "Cut Your Bangs." I'm learning
Our
Song, of course.
Yeah. Dude, that Cut Your Bangs was like my anthem last semester. I don't know when the fuck that record came out. I don't know if it's 5 years old or if it's a year old.
It's probably 5 years.
5 years old, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What year is it? I was hanging out with this girl, and she she just listened to that song all the time, and or it would always come up on her Spotify for some reason. She was not into that kind of music at all, but for some reason that song would always come up, and it's got stuck in my head really bad.
Yeah.
And now whenever I'm on the train, I'm always singing.
Yeah.
Cut your hair, I'm calling you by, and when you lie to me, then this one wrong.
I hope we don't get sued because you sang that.
Oh, we probably will. I think if it's under like 10 seconds, you're good.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, back on track. We got a little off there.
Sorry.
Freshman.
Oh, we were talking. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No, that's good. That's what this is for.
But
But I do want to hear about Freshman because Freshman, I heard Freshman before I heard The Fever. So I wasn't used to hearing you with a full band, and then I heard you with a full band, and then I went back to Freshman, and I was like, oh, this is very different.
Yeah.
It's just all singer-songwriter, all acoustic.
Yeah, just all acoustic guitar and vocals.
So what were like your major influences at that point?
So
I heard a lot of people actually comparing you to the Front Bottoms too.
Oh,
like
cool.
early Front Bottoms, like before
Cool.
self-titled even. Like
that's definitely all where it came from. That like I was listening to the Front Bottoms, you know, the Hotelier, Tiny Moving Parts, and Modern Baseball, and like also Elliott Smith.
Go away. Sorry about that.
And that's okay. And what else was I gonna say? You know, Bright Eyes.
Of course.
The Mountain Goats. So I was just
oh yeah, totally.
always into like acoustic stuff. I had never really made music that felt like something that I would want to listen to. So I finally was like, all right, let's try to make it sound like what, I don't know. So the first thing, I don't know, like took pieces of records I liked. I thought like from that Hotelier record, I thought the best part of it like wasn't, I mean, the songwriting's really good, but I thought the very best part of it was just that they got like, they captured a feeling so well, you know? Everything had this feeling, and it like they captured this one abstract emotion really well, and you know, and it was just by playing guitar with a lot of you know, meaning or feeling, playing guitar with a lot of feeling, and singing, you know, singing with, I guess, a lot of heart, for lack of a better term. And so that was kind of one thing I took from that record, was like, all right, I think if I make something, I have to make something that like I really dig deep and like, you know, really dig in and like let people know like what I'm feeling. And so I think
you succeeded in that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Freshman's, it's a great record.
Thank you.
I still throw it on every now and then. I like
so
Tattoo and Potential. Even Potential was actually the first song I ever heard of yours. But yeah, no, that whole record is great.
Thank you.
And
so
then
much,
so that record led you places, right?
yeah.
It got you a lot of recognition.
Yeah,
So you signed with who?
Pure Noise.
Pure Noise, right?
Yeah, so I
So how did that all? Yeah, how did that all come about?
Yeah, I put out the record. Did I put it out by myself? Yeah, I put it out by myself. I at that point kind of wasn't really talking to anybody from the music scene that much, but I put it out, and then I booked myself a little tour, and my friend Taylor Rambo came on it with me. He's my friend who's a photographer. I played this tour, but then there was this one show in Buffalo. I played in a garage, and there was a few, not that many people there, but there was this one person there that heard it that really liked my set, and she told her friend, and then on that same tour I played Baltimore, and this guy Brian from Have Mercy was at the show because he was friends with Dan. I think these are two different tours I'm mushing together, but Dan Thompson from My Heart, My Anchor, he was friends with him, so he was at that show, and he liked my set, and so I got enough people that were all telling other people that they liked it, and the people that they were telling were like people in the industry, so that I there's an agent that I was like talking to, who I'm working with now, who a lot of people know. This guy Peanut is his nickname. I don't.
Peanut.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't know Peanut. No.
He's books everybody.
Really?
And,
okay.
Yeah, I like lots of everybody, and so I started talking to him from that, and then he sent out my record he sent out Freshman to a bunch of people, and I remember I started getting like messages from labels, and I remember like being super hyped, and I was like in class, and I got a message from one, like, to me it was like a huge label, and I was like, holy shit. So I like left class, I bought a pizza, and I just like paraded around and just like walked around eating pizza just like for hours, just like very happy with myself. And then I had a couple offers, and I got a manager, and then we decided on a label to go with, and and the in between, I forgot to mention, I while it was like starting to get some heat, I put it out on a record label called Quiet Fire that my friends had started, and we just put it out on cassette. My friend Tyler from the band Save Face, do you know that band?
Yep.
Yeah, my friend Tyler from the band Save Face pressed the tapes for us, and Brent and my ex-girlfriend Rachel were in this record label together, and they put out the record on tape for me. We made a little video for it, and then I signed up Pure Noise. I went on it. They like put me on tour. I went on my first full U.S. tour, and that was actually with Head North and Light Years and A Will Away. And I had gone. It's funny because I'd gone on tour with all those bands before, other than Light Years. Right. But I had toured with A Will Away when we were all starting out. Head North and A Will Away were really good friends. They put out this split a while ago. And so that was like my first full U.S. tour, and then cool. And then I started working on new music, but then I ended up going back to school.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it kind of seems like a while since Freshman came out.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
That Freshman came out freshman, and I'm a senior now. And technically like a super senior because I took a year off. So
right, okay.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah, and now we can kind of you did the whole Manhattan thing.
The most remarkable thing about coming home to you is the feeling of being in motion again. It's the most extraordinary feeling in the world. I've got two big hands and a heart pumping blood in a 1967 Colt 45 with a busted safety catch.
Oh yeah,
project,
I did that little,
which was just a handful of covers.
Yeah, it was kind of like I wasn't really putting stuff out. I wasn't ready to put out a record, but I just wanted to like put out some music. So I forgot who came to me with the idea, but somebody was like, "Hey, why don't you? This is a cool idea." And so then I don't know. I just picked some songs to cover that I thought. I don't know. I didn't pick like my favorite songs or anything. I just picked songs that I thought I could do something fun with.
So moving past that, now you're releasing new music under Gardenhead. And was there any like pressure to like sort of come back to making music, or was it just something that kind of felt natural, like you hadn't been doing it for a while? And like had you been like writing music all through
I'd been working
through that
on
hiatus, I guess.
Yeah, I'd been working on music and just different things had been happening with like I just dealt with like mental stuff, and I was just like not doing great personally, and so I just like had to take some time to like chill out and like rewire and refocus. You ever played Zelda Ocarina of Time?
No, I never have.
No?
Not that one. I mean,
you have.
I got you.
You have. Okay, you know when you hit think it's Z. You hit the Z button and it refocuses the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do that.
Okay, you had to hit Z.
I had to hit Z.
Yeah.
I used that analogy with my friend
That's
the
good.
other day, and so I feel a little cheap for using it again, but
No.
I don't care.
Well, you didn't have to say that.
Well,
we would have never
What
known.
if my friend? What
cut
if Chris listens to this, and then they're like, "Hey, Casey said that to me yesterday."
He's
What
not
a
original.
fucking phony. Yeah, exactly.
Still original. I've never heard it before. You know.
Well, I came up
You
with
came
it.
up
but,
with it.
But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So I took time off because I tried to write a record, and I was in the studio with a producer that I was really excited to work with. Really had worked on a ton of stuff that I was like a mega fan of, and I couldn't pull it together, and I just kind of like went home, and I just like told Jake at Pure Noise, I was just like, hey man, I have to go home. I can't do this right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went home, and I spent some time off trying to write, and I don't know, I still wasn't doing great, and I was in a relationship, and I was spending a lot of time not at home in Buffalo, but down in Baltimore, and I was, deteriorating, I guess, and I just kind of I don't know, tried to book a tour, and then I was couldn't do that. I had to leave that early, and then I was like, fuck it, I need to go back to school and get some structure in my life. So then I went back to school for a year, and then I've been recording songs, but it's just been it's really hard to just scheduling wise because of school. It's just during the semester I can't do anything at all because I'm taking 6 classes at a time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's they're all a ton of credits.
Yeah.
And they're, I don't know, it's just and I'm not that naturally good at what I'm going to school for. I'm not I don't have any
Right. You got to work hard
innate
at it.
talent.
Yeah.
I gotta this is I don't know. There's a lot of people in high school don't have to try that hard.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. There's not that many there's not always an opportunity to really test yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of want to see if I can be good at something that I'm really bad at.
That's really admirable. You don't see that.
Thanks.
You don't see a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, I just want to I don't know. I always get very I doubt whether or not I could make it in the world,
Okay.
Whereas I'm living in the world now, and I'm taking care of myself, but for
Yeah.
some reason there's something feels like I'm not doing it right, and everybody has that
I feel like
imposter syndrome.
I feel like that goes back to what we were talking about back in high school when
Yeah.
you feel like you're emotional and you
Yeah.
feel like no one else around you feels
Yeah.
the same way.
And right now, everybody, this is something I've gotten over, but this particular feeling of oh, everybody's an adult. How are they doing that adult thing? Why can't I do that
Yeah.
everybody else? And it's you realize a lot of people just do it on Instagram and really nobody's
Yeah.
showering every day. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody is. I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't fit that in schedule wise,
Just
or
showering
I
every
don't
day.
want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't. I've been showering every day lately though because it's been pretty humid in the city, and I've been skateboarding every day,
Yeah.
and I've been getting sweaty as hell.
Yeah. Once the winter comes, you'll be fine.
Once the winter comes, I'll be fine, but then it'll be snowing, and the weather will hurt my body instead of just
so
making it
yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
'Cause
you'll need to de-stress
cold
in the
is
shower.
so
Yeah.
painful. I don't like that.
Well, yeah. I don't like the cold either. I feel like I got shit for that earlier.
No, you got shit for...
Oh,
no,
'cause I
it was
didn't
for
like
dissing Buffalo because of
Buffalo.
snow and then also living in a snow-covered place.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what you got shit for.
That's right.
Might I say, by the way, before we continue, because I'm going to forget to say this and I want to say it, I love your shoes.
My shoes, yeah.
And I love your shoes. I love both of your guys' shoes.
You have some pretty nice shoes too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I got these at a thrift store actually for $10.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of shoes? Are they Vans?
There's Vans, yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're really nice.
Green forest. We got
Forest
forest green Vans
yeah,
here.
for $10.
And what kind of shoes are these?
I think these are Bull Boxer. Let's say
Let me
that
see.
into
It
my
says it right on the
Bull
tongue.
Boxer.
Bull boxer or bull?
Brave ones.
Brave
Brave
ones.
ones.
Outta here.
Brave
Your
ones.
bull
I don't know what the
boxers.
hell that is, but
They make
dude,
some
your
nice
feet are
shoes.
hella brave, dude.
Did you get those in Chicago?
Yeah.
He's from Chicago. Don't hit on the space bar because it'll stop the recording.
No, we're good. We're
Good.
You're from Chicago.
I am from Chicago. Actually, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You can answer this in back when it's relevant.
Go for it.
So my mom and uncles are from Buffalo. They're from
What?
Tonawanda.
What's their last name?
Powell?
Powell?
Yeah. So
Wait.
my uncle Dana Powell is like, he can shred on a guitar. So he was part of the music scene when he was a kid there.
Yeah. Who? What are the other people with this name? Powell? I know. Powell's a common name, but
Yeah.
Buffalo. When you know somebody with a last name, you know somebody related to them.
Yeah. So it was Dana Powell and then Larry Powell and my mom is Mary Jo. So I don't know if you know them. And my grandma's Myrna.
I mean, I don't know your
She's
grandma.
hanging in. I don't know if you chill with grandmas up there in Buffalo.
I do. My grandma. Me and my grandma are really tight, and she's got me hooked in with the local granny community, and we just all hang out, play
Grandma
bingo, we smoke weed for our collective glaucoma, and we.
No other Powells? No cousins? No grandkids?
Because there was a teacher. I think I got this right. There's a teacher at my high school with the last name Powell, and then he had kids, and they were really nice people. But maybe they're not related. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not related.
Sorry, Evan.
Maybe loosely.
Yeah, probably not. That name's super common. I wish if it was like I don't know. Every time I hear like a super Polish sounding name, I always like assume that they're related to somebody in Buffalo because it's like Buffalo's. There's like so many. There's like. I don't know. I knew this dude. I had a teacher like freshman year of college, and it was like, his name was. Man, I forgot his name, but it was his exact same like kind of
Like
amalgamation.
Pulaski.
You know what?
Like Pulaski.
I had a teacher in high school named
Whoa,
Pulaski.
really? Whoa.
That's fucking weird.
Whoa.
No, but it was Kozlowski, and I had like
Kozlowski.
there's people I knew growing up with that last name, and then my professor at CCNY had that last name, and maybe they were related, or he had this last name, and I was like, this is like a long shot, but are you related to anybody from Buffalo? And he's like, yeah, I'm from Buffalo. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah.
Buffalo, man. I've heard a lot about
Buffalo names
today.
are like.
It's making me really want to go to Buffalo
Buffalo's
now.
good.
Dude, you
Buffalo.
got Buffalo's.
I think I
pretty
almost went
sweet.
there, but it was like a 3-hour drive, and I didn't want to take that
3-hour drive from where?
from here.
No,
It's
longer,
way longer
way
than 3
longer.
Longer?
hours.
Oh, then
It's
maybe
like-
that's probably why. 5
Yeah.
hours? That's probably why I didn't go.
It's like 8 hours. 9
Yeah, okay,
hours.
no thanks.
You
8
had
to
to
9
speed on the
hours.
highway to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
no
it's
thanks.
7 to 9 hours.
No thanks. Really?
Yeah.
To get to Buffalo?
Yeah, it says
That's fucked
it
up.
says I think
It's only
like
8
6 or
hours.
7 on Google Maps.
I think it's
but-
only 8 hours to like get to Ohio.
Yeah,
the
they're
fuck-
about the same distance.
What the fuck? I didn't know nothing about
Ohio's just, like,
geography.
a tad lower.
Oh, New York's huge.
It's true.
Yeah, New York State's huge. If we check out a map, you'll understand why it's the same distance.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, the border of like Ohio pretty much like right lines up with where Buffalo is.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll go to Buffalo eventually.
Yeah. It seems like a great starter town for
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's great. I mean, yeah, I'm not as plugged into the like house show scene as I used to be, or maybe am in like even other cities, but there's always shit going on in Buffalo, and like especially right now, there's like some pretty good bands from there. There's always good bands coming from Buffalo, and there's always like. Yeah, it's a good starter city. I mean, the best thing about it is that it's cheap as fuck.
Mhm. Interesting. All right. Back on track.
All right.
No more Buffalo. Get out of here with your Chicago shoes.
I think I'm
Get outta
going
here.
home
All right. He's going home now. Good.
now.
What was your name again?
Evan.
Evan. Bye, Evan.
Bye.
I'll see you later, Evan.
people of Josh's separate podcast.
Yeah.
He pays more money for.
I do pay more money to make this.
Whoa.
I mean, it's like $20. It's not that much.
How do you
more.
pay money to make it? Do you have to rent out the studio?
No.
Or you have to put it
I have to. I have a.
on your podcast streaming service?
I have what's called a feed, like a media feed, where I have to put all my like all the episodes onto this feed, and then from that feed it like sends it out to iTunes and sends it out to all the other
Oh, and you
podcasting
pay
networks.
for this kind of
Yeah.
distribution
Yeah.
service. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's like the same thing with music. You do like Record Union or like CD Baby or whatever, and
Mhm.
like it puts it on Spotify and all that stuff.
right. Yeah. All right. So Where were we? Gardenhead?
Settle into your position. Settle in, settle in. Sit with your legs crossed under the shower head. Close your eyes and hold your breath. Lying down on a tile floor. Your palms raised, you haven't been. It's like you haven't been. You haven't been. I bet it all gets started here. I bet it all gets started here. And everybody else is on the other side. Everybody else was over there. I give up, I give in. I'll stop caring if it helps me to feel comfortable again. Settle in. But I've been breathing underwater now, and going back would be a sin. It's maintaining innocence in a small suburban town.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
go
we
to, let's
so
do
yeah, we were
Gardenhead.
talking about like you'd been writing music
Writing
and
music, took
trying to
some time
write
off.
music, taking some
Right.
time off.
Yeah, so I ended up writing some new songs, and I was listening to new music, and I was just like, all right. For a while, I was trying to do this really raw sound of just acoustic guitar, and then I was just like, I don't know. I just wanted to like experiment with different sounds and ideas, and I was like, spent a lot of time. Actually, what helped a lot is like I got a new laptop. I like saved up money and got a new laptop when I went back to school. So I took time off of school, so I was able to save up some money. And that helped because then I just had like new GarageBand with a way better sound bank to fuck
Really?
around with. And then I got like a MIDI keyboard to fuck around with, and it just helped make things easier. I still don't have an electric guitar. That'll make it probably easier to demo out stuff too. Yeah, I ended up going. I had not put out music for a while, and then the label was like, all right, let's get some music going.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, so there was like the label was talking to you.
Oh, yeah.
And
So
asking for more music.
Right. And so I was like, okay, we decided on, because I tried to get that record done, wasn't able to get it done, wasn't doing great mentally. Took some time. Then they were kind of like, all right, let's get back on track. So I went in and demoed out 3 songs with my friend Jay, and we took them to this studio in outside of Worcester, Massachusetts, called Wachusett Recording, and it's like on Wachusett Mountain. There's this town Princeton on top of this mountain, in like Western Massachusetts, and I recorded 3 songs. There's the song Underwater, which I released, and then there was this other song, which on all my demos was called, I forgot what the scratch name for it was for a while, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of the song because it's not released yet, but there's this other song called Perpetual Motion, and then there's this other song called Hangover. The song Hangover was like a really old thing I had written right after I first wrote Freshman. I had like this bank of songs that I ended up like putting together as demos to send to labels when I was like talking to labels and stuff. That I didn't end up using any of them because they didn't feel that good to me. But then this song came back, I adjusted some of the lyrics, and was able to make it into a song I liked a lot. So I had these 3 songs, and then the label was very happy with them. They were like, okay, all right, you can clearly make stuff we enjoy, or like you're clearly like making good stuff. Let's start working on a record. So I got these 3 songs done, and then I went back to the studio with Do you know the band 4 Year Strong?
Yeah.
The dude Alan from 4 Year Strong. He's
Okay.
like one of the singers.
Okay.
He is like part of Alan and Mike. Mike is this other guy from Massachusetts who's in like a lot of I don't know, he's just like a multi instrumentalist, and like he's a recording engineer, and he plays in a lot of like bluegrass bands and stuff like that. But he and Alan and I like worked at the studio for a couple weeks, and we got 5 more songs done this summer, and then we announced the project Gardenhead, and that just came from, I had these new songs. They were different sounding. It sounded like a full band. I've been kind of not doing Casey Bolles stuff for a while, and I'm kind of like, I don't know, I want to grow up and make a career out of this, and it just feels better to have me as like, I don't know, it's actually like a super like something I was doing for my mental health, where I was like, all right, if I keep connecting like my success in music to like my intrinsic like value of myself, then I'm gonna be miserable and I'm gonna feel awful all the time.
Right,
and I was stressing it super hard and feeling really bad, and that was like a really important hurdle for me to get over, is to like how to stop freaking out so much about that shit and just to like relax and enjoy what I'm doing and just chill out. And before I was just so stressed about people liking me or being successful or like proving a point or making a name, and it's just like, fuck it, man, I want to like live in the moment a little bit and enjoy my time and like make music I'm enjoying. And so, you know, we're me and the team, like the label and like my manager and my agent and stuff, like, which is like, you know, it sounds like really corporate when you say it, but it's really just like your friends. I mean, it's really just people that have been in the scene longer than you, have been in the industry longer than you, and just have like are invested in your project now. So it's basically just friends with wisdom, and we all kind of decided like, all right, let's make an indie band. Like, let's do something. The goal was kind of like, all right, let's do something in the vein of maybe, you know, Death Cab for Cutie or Bright Eyes, where it's kind of like a solo project, kind of an indie band. And that's kind of what I'm going for.
Right.
And, you know, we'll see how it's viewed once the record comes out and everything. But right now I have 8 songs done. I'm going back to the studio in January to do another, hopefully another like 8 songs, and then I'll piece together a record, maybe record some connective tissue, and make the whole thing really a complete work. And then I'll have a record, and finally we'll have my first full-length LP ever, which will be really, really, it'll feel like amazing to finally get that out. Like the big thing, it's everything in my life is kind of like coming to a head at the same time, and everything kind of like goes in these, it seems to me like goes in these cycles where they all kind of sync up. And like right now it's like I'm going to be finishing college, I'm going to be graduating college this spring, and you know, I'm working to try to get a record out soon, and I'm sure I'll have something around then or something like that. I don't know exactly, but I guess it's like I'm going to be finishing school. I'm going to finally have my first full-length LP out. Like, I'm just excited to, like, man, maybe I can really dig into life and enjoy it right now. You know what I mean?
That's
finally jumping out of the nest.
Yeah.
I jumped out of the nest before, but I just fell into a bigger nest. Now I can jump out of this bigger nest.
Yeah. I really like what you were saying about how, like, feeling that pressure of like making sure people like you, making sure people like the music you make, and and you kind of breaking through that and realizing it's fuck all that, just make the shit that you want to make the shit that makes you happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're a kid, I mean, a lot of people when they get into like punk or emo music, like they're coming from a place of not liking themselves that much, probably, or they like, just because the lyrical content is like kind of geared towards that. That's like, I think maybe the type of person that finds that music when they're younger, and that's like, I think people like that, people like me, people like get, I don't know, when you don't maybe like yourself that much or whatever, it's like you want to, I don't know, it feels like there's something to prove, and it's like, oh, there's this art, there's this thing that's not sports or school or social, getting people to like me. There's just this thing that's something else that I can be good at, that's interesting, that's cool, that's perceived as cool, like, and so you kind of pursue this thing, and, you know, I've always pursued music because I love music, but, you know, I wouldn't play shows unless I wanted people to hear what I was doing, and I think when I was younger, a lot of the reason I wanted people to hear what I was doing was to be like, hey, look, I'm not just, like, a stupid little waste of space, like, I have something to say.
Yeah.
And when you have something to say, I guess, or when you want people to hear what you're saying, like, I don't know, sometimes you get wrapped up, I guess, in the rat race. It's a little unrelated to wanting to people to hear what you're saying, but you can get wrapped up in, like, it's the same thing with anything. Like, I don't know exactly, like, how you work and you're in film and stuff, like, if there's, like, other directors that are your peers. I don't know. My friend Adam is an artist, and he made a really great comic, and it's just he makes these really great one-panel comics, and it's, like, the artist's motto or something, and it's, like, my hobbies are my obligations, my friends are my competition.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
No, that's pretty accurate.
And once you can get over that mindset, though,
Yeah.
once you can get over that mindset, like, life starts being more enjoyable. And right now I'm at a place where, like, life is enjoyable. Right now, writing wise, like, what I'm trying to figure out is, like, what do I want to tell people? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was talking to my cousin. He works at, like, this head shop in Buffalo, and he doesn't have a phone or anything, and just when I see him, it's just when I go to buy, like, blunt wraps at this head shop, and I'll just see my cousin that I haven't seen in, like, a year or whatever, and he told me, you know, and it sounds kind of like, maybe sounds kind of empty at first, but, like, if you really think about it, it doesn't maybe need that much thinking, but just, what do you want to tell the world, you know, in terms of songwriting? And it's like, man, like, what do I want to tell the world? Like, what do I wish people knew, or what do I think, what do I have to say? And it's like, I don't know exactly what it is I have to say, because I'm right now, like, sitting back and listening a lot. Like, I'm trying to learn in school and trying to learn even, like, socially, just trying to, like, figure out how to make my relationships healthy and good. And I used to be very, like, kind of, I don't know, I used to not do great socially, and now I'm kind of, like, more independent, and I'm able to rely on myself and have, like, healthy relationships, and it's just, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What was I talking about? I lost track.
I was talking about just, you know, the writing process and...
Oh, yeah. And it's, so I'm just trying to think of, like, you know, I don't know, I guess I just feel more, like, at peace lately.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, all right, then what is it that I want to tell people, you know?
Yeah.
If I'm not, you know, it's like when you're in pain or you're not at rest, it's like you feel restless and you have something to say, but it's like when you're not being prodded in this uncomfortable way, it's like, you know.
Yeah, this might be a hard question to answer, but, like, when you are trying to figure out what you want to hear people, or what you want to say to people, what you want people to hear you say.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's, like, picking and choosing of, like this.
Right.
This
There's
is
certain thoughts.
like, how do you pinpoint when you see it? Like, do you just know, like, that's what I want to say, or is it more of, like, is it more gradual than that? I don't know. It's a hard question to ask.
A lot of what I've realized, because, you know, you, like, just anybody who makes music, like, at any level, you'll just, like, people will inevitably ask you about the writing process at some point and ask you what comes first, music or lyrics, or how do you write lyrics? And it's kind of like, for me, I've, like, you know, paid more attention to my writing process, and I realized that, like, a lot of what I write, when I write something, it's like stream of consciousness, and, like, I read a lot. I read a lot of fiction, and then I read a lot of nonfiction for school. And I listen to a lot of music, and I watch a lot of movies. And so I just have, this, like, constant stream of stuff to choose from, to pull from. And so then when I'm writing, I'll kind of just, like, see what it is that it seems like I need to say or want to say, and then, like, I can kind of, like, look back at this thing I've written and be like, all right, what is the central theme of all these things? What is this feeling that I was trying to get out? And it's like, if it feels like a cohesive feeling, like if it feels like, if it feels like the song makes sense, then that's like a song to me,
Right. All right. Well, Casey, we do have to wrap it up. Yeah. I'm so happy that you came into the studio today.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for having me.
And you were so accommodating, and
dude, you had a big sign with my name on it.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I had to make sure you found me.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I was very proud of that sign too.
Yeah, it was a nice sign.
Yeah. So before we go though, like I mentioned in the car, I don't know if you had a chance to think about it at all.
Oh, right.
But I want to hear what kind of things you're listening to, and what do you recommend that our listeners listen to?
Okay. Man, it's funny because I've been actually, like, really thinking about this lately. You'll get into, like, a groove of listening to, like, a certain collection of things, and it's like, all right, now what's this next group of shit I'm gonna get into? And I'm in a transitional phase right now, so I don't really know. But this summer I was listening to last year I was listening to a lot of Lil Yachty.
Wow. Okay, wasn't expecting that.
And then let's see, Elliott Smith. I'm always listening to Elliott Smith. I love Elliott Smith. Been listening to Bud Powell a lot. And listening to a lot of jazz. I mostly listen to jazz.
Okay.
And so I pretty much just I just took, like, this jazz history class, like, last year or something. So sometimes I'll just, like, pick a name off the syllabus and, like, listen to that first.
Interesting. Yeah. You mentioned, like, picking up jazz records at a thrift store earlier, and if we had more time, I would have gone more into that, but because that is super interesting to me. I've always loved jazz, but, like, not to the point where I listen to it on my free time, really, unless I'm, like, doing homework. But jazz is one of those things I would have loved to get into, like, dive deep into.
Dude, totally. Listen to jazz. Listen to, like, my favorite jazz record is Time Out by Dave Brubeck.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of just a record I can give you to. Just a record I can say.
Yeah, something new, something old.
Yeah, what's a record I can say? Oh, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's a pretty cool band. Do you ever listen to them?
Yeah, I have. I heard they just released an album, right?
Dude, they released 3 albums in 2017.
Right, yeah.
Starting with Flying My
Nonagon
Cotonou
Infinity
Banana.
was one of them?
Nonagon Infinity was 2016.
Oh, okay.
But Flying My Cotonou Banana was the first record they put out in 2017, and then they just did 2 more. But that band's so cool. Their discography's huge.
Are they Australian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
That's what I remember.
I thought they were Australian. Maybe they're from New Zealand.
Maybe.
I don't know. I get them confused sometimes, but I'm almost 100% they're Australian.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic band. Check that band out. Although some of their, like, they do this thing where they, like, repeat, like, these, like, themes, and I can't tell if it's like, oh, I like this because it's, like, a repeated theme and that's a thing the band's doing and that's, like, or if it's like they're pumping out records and they don't have new ideas for riffs. I can't tell.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, that's
cool.
That's a cool band to listen.
All right. Well, Casey, thank you so much for coming into the studio and talking with us. You want to, like, plug where they can find your music?
Oh, you find my music on the internet.
The internet.
Find
under
my
Casey
music
Bolles.
on the internet under Casey Bolles or under Gardenhead.
Yes.
So, Spotify, iTunes, etc.
Yeah, and there will be links to all that in the description of the episode.
Love a good link.
So yeah. All right, Casey, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me.
All right.
And that is the end of the podcast.
All right, perfect. I'm going to end every podcast with that now. Great. All right.
And everybody else is on the other side. Everybody else was over there. give up, I give in. I'll stop caring if it helps me to feel comfortable again. Settle in. But I've been breathing underwater now, and going back would be a sin. It's maintaining innocence in a small suburban town. I'd do anything to boost morale in a cold, quiet house. I'll solve everything. I bet it all gets started here. I bet it all gets started here. 'Cause everybody else is on the other side. Everybody else was over